Okay, good morning. We are on Mem Amad Aleph on the third line. Again, grab the concepts. Matan Arba Minayin Tamilomar Kain Yasevis V'Hasita Lapar Kasher Asa Lapar Hachatas Kain Yaselo V'Chiper Lehem HaKohen V'Nislach Lehem. So how do you know that the four applications on the Mizbeach are Ma'akev? Ma'ishna Matan Zayin Dechtivan Ukfilan Matan Daled Nami Ksivan Ukfilan. Rabbi Yirmiyah Lo Nitzcha Rabbi Shimon. That means that we have three times it says the word V'asa. V'asa lapar, Kasher asa lapar hachatas, Kain yaselo. So the Gemara wants to know, why do you need the extra Kain yaselo to tell me that the four sprinklings on the corners of the Mizbeach are ma'akev? Why can't you just tell me that Kain yaseh tells me that just like the 7 sprinklings on the paroches are ma'akev, it'll cause the whole avoda to be ruined if you don't do it, so too the 4 on the corners of the Mizbeach will also be ma'akev. What do you need a less separate limud for? So Rabbi Yirmiyah says you need it for Rabbi Shimon. Detanya lemala omer keren karnos shnayim lemata omer keren karnos arba diver Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon says that if you look at the psukim, you'll see that in the psukim it says al karnos mizbach hagitores and al karnos hamizbeach. So each one of those karnos mean 2. So you have to apply 2 and you have to apply 2. If it was one limud for all 4, then you're right. I can learn that from Ya'aseh, I can learn that all 4 of those are ma'akev. But since it's 2 separate limudim, one of them is 2 corners and one of them is 2 corners, I need 2 separate limudim to tell me that both of those 2 corners are ma'akev. And if you don't do all 4 of them, then it'll be a problem. So again, because it says karnos 2 different times, therefore you need this extra pasuk of Kain Ya'aseh to tell me that they're ma'akev. So you basically have V'asita lapar, kasher asar lapar chatas, Kain Ya'aseh lo. Yasita means you have to do the sprinklings. Kasher asa tells me that the sprinklings that are on the paroches, the 7 are ma'akev, and then the kasher asa, and then Kain Ya'aseh tells me that the sprinklings on the mizbeach, the 4 corners of mizbeach, are also going to be ma'akev. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Eino tzarech harei omer ba'ohel moed al kol ha'amor ba'ohel moed. He says you don't have to make this limud from karnos. He says that I know all 4 of them from one pasuk, from Ba'ohel Moed, because it already know that we're dealing with the Ohel Moed. It's obvious. The pasuk says in Vayikra, Umin Hadam Yitain al Karnos HaMizbeach Asher Lifnei Hashem Asher B'Ohel Moed. Shkoyach. The Mizbeach is in the Ohel Moed. Like I didn't know that already. So what does it add when it says that the Mizbeach is in the Ohel Moed? It's adding that you have to apply the blood to the entire Mizbeach. Having a limit, you need to apply it to the entire Mizbeach. So, at the end of the day, Rabbi Yehuda is learning from not karnos. He's learning it from the actual words B'Ohel Moed. If he learns it from one place, that you have to apply it to all 4 corners, then what? Then he can learn that they're ma'akev from the word Yaseh. He can learn it from the same place as the parocha. So what does he need this extra limit of Kain Yaseh for? For Rabbi Yehuda, Kain Yaseh ma'avdilei. So what does he do with Kain Yaseh? So he learns that Kain Yaseh means that the power of Yom Kippur, which we're discussing, needs smicha and shayarei dam, that the leftover dam needs to be put onto the yesod of the mizbeach, and the smicha needs to be done. So again, everybody agrees with the rules. The question is, where are they learning it from? They all agree that you need to have 7 applications on the paroches. They all agree that you need 4 applications on the 4 corners of the mizbeach. The difference is that the question is where they learn it from. And the only nafkamina would be that, according to Rabbi Yehuda, you would say that for sure the power of Yom Kippurim needs a smicha and the shiarei hadam. And we haven't seen where Rabbi Shimon will learn that from. But again, the power of Yom Kippur needs to have smicha. You lean on it. You need to put the leftover dam on the yesod of the mizbeach. You need to go ahead and sprinkle it on the paroches. You need to sprinkle it on the 4 corners of the mizbeach. If you're missing any of them, it will be ma'akev. Says the Gemara, is it? But don't we already know that the power of Yom Kippur needs smicha and the leftover needs to go on the mizbeach? Ha'amart lepar ze Yom Kippurim. We already learned v'asa lapar. That's the power of Yom Kippur. And you make a hekesh to par helim davar shel tzibur when they make a mistake on the law. And we know that you need smicha and shiarei dam. It's derech. What do you need? Sagadai chamina hani mili avoda demakva kapar valavoda lo makva kapar yamalo kamash malan. Means that we make a hekesh from the par Yom Kippurim, or I should say from the par elim davar shel tzibur to the par Yom Kippurim, that you need to do whatever you do by the par elim davar shel tzibur by the par Yom Kippurim. So just like the par elim davar shel tzibur needs to have the sprinklings, or the sprinklings are ma'akev, so too the sprinklings by the par Yom Kippurim are ma'akev as well. But you might have thought that what? You might have thought that things that are not ma'akev, things like smicha and things like sheyari adam, you would not make the hekesh for. Says Gemara, no, we learned, just like we learned that you need the sprinklings from the par helim davar shel tzibur, we also learned that you need the smicha and you need to put the leftover dam on the mizbeach from the par of the helim davar shel tzibur. But you need that extra limud because you might have originally thought that you're only making the hekesh partly. You only make the hekesh for things that are ma'akev, like the sprinklings. Things that are not ma'akev are not going to be a problem. Kamash malan, that even the things that are not ma'akev, like the smicha and the shiyarei hadam, you're going to make a hekesh. So again, it comes out that if you don't do the smicha or the shiyarei hadam, it will not be ba'akev. But we have hekesh that you need to actually do them by the par Yom Kippurim as well. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Shimon hay be'ohel moed ma'avilei. So what does Rabbi Shimon do with ohel moed if he doesn't need it? Be'ohel moed mibayei leishim nifchas hatikra shel heichal lo haya mazeh. Another rule, that if there's something wrong with the roof, or the roof, however you pronounce it, of the ohel moed, then it's going to be a problem. If it's broken, or if there's a hole, etc., then you cannot do the hazah. So the ohel moed needs to be full, needs to be 100% in order to be able to do the avoda. Vidach me'asher, the other one learns it from, it says asher, there's an extra word asher. It says, Lifnei Hashem asher bi-ohel moed. Asher lifnei Hashem asher bi-ohel moed. There's two ashers. The extra asher teaches me this limud, that it has to be full. V'idach asher lo darsh. It says, what kind of drasha do you make from the word asher? You can't make a drasha. But again, we see clearly that you need to have the sprinklings, which are ma'akev, and you need to have the smicha and the shiyarei adam, which are not ma'akev, all of which are talking about the par Yom Kippurim. Says the Gemara, Abai is coming along, and he's an alternative to Rabbi Yirmiyah, who says, why do we not learn the application of the four on the four corners of the mizbeach? Why can't we learn that from the same kasher asa, the same limud that we learned by the application of the 7 on the parochas? So Bihudinam Yitzrich Sakatay Dechamina, Midid Hav Asmicha V'Sheyari Hadam, De'af Agav Dechsiva Nukfil Lo Ma'akva, Matan Arba Nami Lo Tis Akev, Kamash Malan. That means that the matan dalid, we know, is not essential in certain korbanos. We're talking about korban Yom Kippurim here, which is a chatas on the inside. And it is ma'akev. Just like it's ma'akev the 7 sprinklings, so too the 4 sprinklings are ma'akev by a chatas of Yom Kippurim, because it's an inside chatas. We know that the 4 sprinklings, matan dalid, is not ma'akev by a chatas of chutz. If you have chatas chutz, then it's considered like the sheyari adam and the smich. Again, sheyari adam and smich are not ma'akev. Matan dalid and matan zayin are ma'akev by the Yom Kippurim. However, again, if we're going to compare it to the chatas chutz, so a chatas chutz, the matan dalid is not ma'akev. So Kain Yaseh tells me that the matan dalid is ma'akev, is essential to the chatas pnimi. So again, for the rules, if you're keeping track at home, so smicha and sheyari adam will not be ma'akev, are necessary but not ma'akev. The matan dalid on the 4 corners will not be ma'akev in a chatas that's brought outside in the chutz, and the matan dalid will be ma'akev on a chatas that's brought inside, like the par of Yom Kippurim. Says the Gemara, just get the kolam down. The par is that par Yom Kippurim, l'may hilchasa, ila akev pshita. So what do you need to tell me that lapar means the par Yom Kippurim, that all of the hazos, all of the sprinklings are going to be ma'akev, like we keep saying? Well, if it's true, pshita, it's obvious. Why? Like we said yesterday in Rashi, chukak sivbei. It says chuk, and we know that anytime it says chuk, like zos chukas haTorah, it's going to be, just like by para aduma we said, and by mitzorah it's going to be ma'akev. Anytime it says chok, it's going to be ma'akev, so it's obviously ma'akev. So what do you have to tell me this hekesh, that I know that the par Yom Kippurim is ma'akev from the par helim davar, just like those sprinklings are ma'akev. This one is, what do you mean? It says chok by the par Yom Kippurim, therefore by definition it's going to be ma'akev. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak lo nitzchel Rabbi Yehuda damar ki ksiva choka advar manasim bebigdei lavan bifnim shem hiktem masa lechaver lo asa v'lo klum advar manasim bebigdei lavan b'chutz hiktem masa lechaver masha asa asoy. Therefore, we need it for his opinion. You're right. For a regular person, we don't need this limud of Kain Yaseh. makes sense. We're talking about Rabbi Yehuda on top. We don't need Kain Yaseh because I already know that it's obvious from the fact that it says Chok that the sprinklings will be Ma'akev. But according to Rabbi Yehuda says that when it says Chok, that it's going to be Ma'akev, that's not everything. That's not talking about all the sprinklings. That's talking about anything that's done B'Big Day Lavan. What's done B'Big Day Lavan B'Fnim? Those are the things that are done in the Big Day Lavan on Yom Kippur, the burning of the incense and the sprinkling of the blood inside the Kodesh Kodashim. So you might have thought that if you just had Chok, only the things that are done inside the Kodesh Kodashim would be Ma'akev. Sheim hiktim ma'aseh l'chaveru l'aseh v'lo klum. Because we see over there that if you do them out of order, if the sprinkling is supposed to come after the incense, but you do the sprinkling before the incense and it ruins it, but you might think that the sprinkling of the blood of the animals that we're talking about to the parochet and the mizbeach hazav, that what hiktim ma'aseh l'chaveru masha asoy asoy. But therefore, it tells me that whatever is done, and you get the kapara even if you do it out of order. So therefore what? So you might have thought, according to him, since Chukah only teaches me that things are ma'akev inside the Kodesh Kodashim, so you might have thought that just like the order is not ma'akev outside of the Kodesh Kodashim, if you don't do all of the sprinklings, it won't be ma'akev outside of the Kodesh Kodashim either, i.e. all these sprinklings that we're talking about with the Par Yom Kippurim on the Mizbeach and on the Paroches. Again, the Paroches is outside. So what do we need? So it's not ma'akev. So what do you need? You might have thought that it's not ma'akev. So it comes along, lepar, that we learn, the Hekesh too, the Par Elam Davar Shel Tzibur, just like it's ma'akev over there, it's going to be ma'akev over here as well. So again, the klal is that it is ma'akev. The question is, how do we learn it? They learn it from different ways, but the bottom line is when you walk away and somebody wakes you up tonight and says, is it ma'akev by the Par Yom Kippurim when you do the 4 hazos and the 7 hazos? The answer to the question is yes. Shkoyach. Doctor, you need the article. Says the Gemara, Kamash Malan, that it is ma'akev. Okay. If you haven't realized that we switched to the next volume of the article yet, then you better start paying attention. Says the Gemara. Okay. Zok the Gemara. About 3 days ago. Maskiv la Rav Papa. Umi batzis amris hachi. Would you actually say this? V'hatanya. Listen to this. So gishmak. V'kila mechaperes hakodesh. The pasuk says. What was that? Oh, Mendel, you're leaning for it. Thank you. V'chila mechaperes hakodesh. V'yes oel moed v'yes hamizbeach. V'kriv es hasayir achai. What does those words mean? V'chila mechaperes hakodesh. V'chila. Kila is like Kila Yom when you're finished. When you're finished, it'll be Mechaperes HaKodesh. Now there's 2 really ways to learn it. That when you're finished, it'll be Mechaperes HaKodesh. Or, let's see. Im Kiper Kila. If you finish, then it's, the opposite. V'Kila only if Mechaperes HaKodesh, or V'Kila will cause you to be Mechaperes HaKodesh. Either the finishing it will cause the kapara, or the finishing will only come once you have the kapara. What does that mean? Im kiper, if you get the kapara, then kila, then you're finished. Vim lo kiper, and if you don't get the kapara, then you're not finished. What does that mean? It's talking about the par of Yom Kippur. When the Kohen Gadol has completed atoning. So it sounds like, im kiper, if he did all of the atonements, i.e. what's that? What are the atonements? The sprinkling. If he does all of the sprinklings, then kila, then he's finished, then he's completed the atonement. So as long as he does the sprinklings, he's good to go. Divrei Rabbi Akiva. Amalei Rabbi Yehuda, no. Mipnei malo nemar im kila kiper. According to you, it should have said im kila kiper. Vim lo kila lo kiper. But according to you, it should have said im kila kiper. Mipnei malu namar im kila kiper, vim lo kila lo kiper. No, what should it have said? You're learning that what? Im kiper kila. If you get the atonements, then you're finished. I.e., if you finish all the sprinklings, you're finished. That's not what it says. It says if you do the finishing, then you get the atonement. Not if you get the atonement, you do this finishing. What's the difference? Well, getting the atonement means the sprinkling. If you do the sprinkling, that's enough. The other way is if you do everything, only then do you get the kapara. What's that? Not only the sprinkling, what is that? Also the pouring of the blood on the mizbeach. So Rabbi Akiva is, Rabbi Yehuda is adding to Rabbi Akiva basically, again if you want to get the klal, Rabbi Yehuda is adding to Rabbi Akiva that not only is the hazaz going to be ma'akev, but you also need to pour the leftover blood on the mizbeach, that'll also be ma'akev. But either way, what do you see from here? Either way, you see that Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Akiva both already have a source that what? That all of the hazos, that all of the sprinklings are ma'akev. So what are you telling me that I needed to make the comparison according to Rabbi Yehuda? Again, because according to everybody else, you didn't have to do anything because you already had the limud, right? You already had the limud from before. But according to Rabbi Akiva, again, we already have chukah to tell me that the hazos are ma'akev. Comes along Rabbi Yehuda and says chukah is not enough to tell me that the hazos are ma'akev because that's only for stuff inside the Kodesh Kodashim. Therefore, how do you know that it's ma'akev? So you know from here, from the hekesh of lapar, from the par Yom Kippurim to the par of Elim Davar. Says the Gemara, well, understand, even you, Rabbi Yehuda, who don't use chukah, but what do you need this hekesh from the par of Yom Kippur, from the par of Elim Davar to the par of Yom Kippur? You have from a pasuk v'kila mechaperes hakodesh that the hazos, either way, whether you say it's kiper to get kila or kila to get kippur, you both agree that you need to do the hazos in order to get the kapar. Whether you need to have the shayarei dam as well, fine. But you both agree you need to have the zos. So I learned it from v'chiper or v'chila mechaperes hakodesh. What do you tell me that I need it from a hakesh of what? Of par to the par helim davar shel tzibor. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Papa lo nitzrucha ela le'es damud fila. You're right. The hekesh between par Yom Kippurim to the par halim davar shel tzibor is not necessary. So again, it comes out everybody's agreeing to what we learn, which is why it's so complicated. We're just disagreeing to how we learn it. So the par Yom Kippurim, we agree that all of the hazos are ma'akev. Where do you learn that from? You either learn it from the word chukah, or you learn it from the comparison hekesh to par halim davar shel tzibor. V'asya la par. The par Yom Kippurim, kasher asa lapar, you learn it too, the hekesh of par lim davar, that the hazos are going to be ma'akev. And therefore what? So then what do you learn with v'kila mechaperes hakodesh? And according to Rabbi Yehuda, you'll actually learn it from v'kila mechaperes hakodesh. So according to him, v'kila mechaperes hakodesh, what does he do with the other opinion we're not going to talk about? What does he do with v'kila mechaperes hakodesh? Fine. But what does Rabbi Yehuda now do with the comparison of the par of Yom Kippurim, the hekesh to par helim davar shel tzibor? He doesn't need that hekesh because he has v'kila mechaperes hakodesh to tell me that the hazos of the par Yom Kippurim need to have the hazos are ma'akev. So what does he do with the comparison between the par of helim davar shel tzibor and the par of Yom Kippurim? Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Papa lo nitzchel le'et damud fila. Again, more klalim. Three other comparisons that we're going to learn that are going to be ma'akev, or seemingly, let's see, three things that you need by the par Yom Kippurim that you need by the par helim davar shel tzibor. What's et? Et. What does the pasuk say? The pasuk says, "V'taval hakohen et etzpa'o badam." So we're going to learn something from et, his finger, badam, the dam. V'izami nadam sheva pa'amim. What do we learn? Et amar v'acha bar Yaakov lo nitzrucha ela lahachshir amin shebe etzpa. So the first thing we learned from par helim davar shel tzibor to par Yom Kippurim is that we know the kohen cannot have a chatzitza on his hand when he sticks his finger in and throws it on the thing to do the hazah. But what happens if he has a blister on his finger? So if he has a blister, it's not going to ruin it. If he has a blister, bahachshir. If he has a blister, so then the hazah is still good. What's badam? When it says you have to take it from the dam, sheyehei badam shir tefila meikara. What that means is that we know that you do the Kabbalah. There's a certain amount of blood you need to do the hazah. Let's say you take 1 cup of blood with the Kabbalah and it's not enough dam to do the hazah. Then you go in and say, I don't have enough. So I go take another separate cup of blood from the dam hanefesh still, and I have it to do the hazah. And now I mixed the two together. Says the Gemara, the fact that you didn't take enough the first time invalidates the korban. You can't mix two of them together. You can't mix chatzi shir with chatzi shir to now have enough. Badam, it means that meikara, when you take out the Kabbalah sadam, you need to have enough to do the hazah. V'taval, what does v'taval mean? V'lo misafeg. You have to actually dip your finger, the kohen, into the blood. You can't go ahead and, sometimes like when you take the yogurt or whatever it is, you take the bowl of like chocolate things. You could either go like this, which your mother always says not to do. For some reason, when you go around the outside of the bowl, it's a little bit better. That's okay, but sticking your finger in not. What?
It's not fattening.
It's not fattening if you take it around the edge, but not from the middle. So over here, never heard that one. V'taval is telling you that you can't do that. That you can't go ahead and go like this. If you go around the edge of the bowl, it is fattening. Or you're right, it's not fattening. If you go around the edge of the bowl, it doesn't work. You have to actually stick your finger into the thing. But that's the hekesh that we make from the par helim davar shel tzibor. That first of all, if he has a blister, it's still going to be okay. He needs to have enough dam from the first time that he does it. You can't mix 2 cups in order to be able to do the hazah. And finally, if he goes out and he dips, when it says he dips, he needs to actually dip his finger. He can't take from the outside of the bowl. V'yitzterech lemichtav V'taval v'tzrech l'mechta b'dam. And I need both of these limudim, because you wouldn't have learned one from the other. Dikaz rachmana v'taval havamina v'gab deleka shir tvila meikar kaz rachmana b'dam. Kaz rachmana b'dam avina filu misafeg kaz rachmana v'taval. I wouldn't have known anything about sticking my finger in the bowl just from the amount of stuff. If you would have told me I need to have get the whole shear right away, I wouldn't have known I can't stick my finger in the dam. And if you would have told me that I have to stick my finger in the dam, if you would have told me I have to stick my finger in the dam, I wouldn't have necessarily known that I have to get the whole shear in the beginning. So I need both. Mizbach ketoras samim. This is talking about the Kohen Gadol's chatas of Yom Kippur. What does it mean? That when he does a Mizbach ketoras samim, lamali shimlo nischanech hamizbeach b'ketoras hasamim lo hayamaz. Very interesting. That we know that this Mizbeach was used for other things, obviously, throughout the year. And therefore, the Kohen Gadol needed to actually, quote-unquote, dedicate this Mizbeach by throwing incense on it. Once he dedicates, we're not talking about inside the Kodesh Kodashim, we need to dedicate the Mizbeach by throwing incense on it. Once he did that, now he could bring his chatas of Yom Kippur on the Mizbeach, which was not usually used for those purposes. It's fascinating. Every single detail is important. Tanya Kavase de Rav Papa. Again, what did we say from Rav Papa? So we said, Rav Papa said, and we're going to learn it from Rebbe, because we're going to have Rebbe and Rebbe Yishmael. What did we learn from Rav Papa? Rav Papa says, this whole thing about making the hekesh between the par Yom Kippurim and the par Elim Davar Shel Tzibor, to tell me that by the par of Yom Kippur, you need to go ahead and dip, you need to have enough in it from the beginning, and you can't put your finger, you have to dip, you can't put your fingers around, you have to have enough in the beginning, and a blister will not be ma'akev. So Tani Kavat Seder Rav Papa. V'asa kasher asa matam lomar lapar lerabos par Yom Kippurim l'chol masha amar be'inyan. So he learns again, similarly to what we said, that the hekesh from par helim davar shel tzibor doesn't just teach me that I need to do the hazos. It teaches me, like what Rav Papa says, that the dipping is going to be ma'akev, and the sheer tvila, the amount of blood that you get in the beginning, will be ma'akev. So that was our Tani Kavase de Rav Papa. If we stopped here, that's the Tani Kavase de Rav Papa. That the par, you make the hekesh across the board. We thought originally you only make the hekesh between par elim davar shel tzibor and par Yom Kippurim for the hazos. Again, hekesh means when you have the same word in both places. You can learn from one to the other. We thought you only make the hekesh across the board for the hazos, that all of the sprinklings will be ma'akev. Over here we see, according to this, which supports Rav Papa, you're going to make the hekesh also for the things that we just learned, that you need to dip the finger, you can't get it from the side, and you have to have enough in from the beginning. Says a Gemara, Amr Bishmael, he's going to learn it also. Again, he's going to learn the same thing. He's going to learn the same idea that you need to have the dam and you have to dip it and you have to get it originally all at the same time. He's going to learn that also. That you need that by the power of Yom Kippur. But he's not going to learn it from a hekesh, he's going to learn it from a kal v'chomer. Very interesting kal v'chomer. Amr Bishmael kal v'chomer. Uma b'makom shelu hushvu korban l'korban hishve masim l'masim. Makom shehishve korban l'korban eino din sheyishve masa l'masa. I'm just going to say it outside for a second. We're making a kal v'chomer here. We're going to give examples of cases where the species of animal that you use for two different korbanos are different. A par and a sa'ir, a tzon and a bakar, whatever it is. And yet you see that based on different limudim, their sacrificial, the procedures need to be the same. Even though the animals are different, we see that there are limudim that the process and the procedure needs to be the same. So the kal v'chomer is that if you have two things that have two different animals and yet the procedure needs to be the same, kal v'chomer when you have two things that are the same animal, i.e. the par of Yom Kippur, and over here, interestingly, there's a whole discussion in Rashi, but I originally thought, again, we're making the hekesh from the par helim davar shel tzibor according to the other opinion, par helim davar shel tzibor to the par Yom Kippurim. It sounds like one would have made the kal v'chomer with those two as well. It sounds like from Rashi you're not learning it in the top of the next daf. It doesn't really matter for our purposes. It's just that what we're going to use here is not the par helim davar shel tzibor. We're going to use the par of the Kohen Gadol. So just like when you have a sa'ir and a par, we see that even though it's two separate animals, the procedures are the same. Many times, kal v'chomer, when you have two of the same animals, the par of the Kohen Gadol and the par of Yom and the par of Yom Kippurim, which are the same animals, par and par, then for sure the procedures need to be the same. Whatever the procedures by the par Kohen Gadol are, i.e. that they need hazos, i.e. that it needs a dipping, i.e. that it needs to have all of the stuff taken out, the amount taken at one time, then that's going to be ma'akev. That again, ma b'makom shelo hushvu korban l'korban, different species, hishva masim l'masim, many times, makom shishva korban l'korban, it's the same species, par and par, eino din sheyishva masim l'masim, that's the kal v'chomer. Elamatam l'lomar l'par. So if you have the kal v'chomer, what do I need par, what do I need the hekesh for? Zeh par helim davar shel tzibor, l'par zeh par kohen Mashiach. So interestingly, he's saying that if you're going to go ahead and you're going to use it, that you're going to use the par not to the par of Yom Kippur, because I don't need that right now, because I'm going to make it with a kal v'chomer. What am I going to learn? I'm going to learn the par of the Kohen Mashiach. I'm going to learn it from a hekesh, from the par helim davar shel tzibor. So it's interesting. What's happening here, as we'll see in a second, is that the given is the par helim davar shel tzibor. It needs the hazos, it needs to have the dipping, it needs to have all the stuff at the same time. Par, I learned from there to what? To the par of the Kohen Gadol. Needs the hazos, needs to have the dipping, have to get all of it at the same time. Then how do I learn? So you're learning a hekesh from par helim davar to the par of the Kohen Gadol. And then what am I learning? And then I'm learning from the par Kohen Gadol to the par of Yom HaKippurim of the people, the par of Yom HaKippurim through a kal v'chomer. So first I'm learning hekesh and then I'm learning kal v'chomer. That's what the Gemara is going to ask on the next daf on the top. Can you learn something from a kal v'chomer if you already only learned it from a hekesh? It doesn't learn it over here. It's not asking about this. But there might be a question. That's another klal we're going to have to learn. Whether you can learn, if I learn something from a hekesh, can I then use that to learn a kal v'chomer, or is it weak because I only learned it by itself through a hekesh? Fine. But for now, that's basically what we're doing. But Amar Mar. Let's just conclude with these examples. Uma b'makom shelo hushvu korban lekorban. Again, what's an example where you have two korbanos that have different species, different animals, and yet the procedures are the same? Which we can say, well, if that's the case, in that case, so then for sure, when the animals are the same, the par Yom HaKippurim and the par Kohen Mashiach, for sure, whatever applies by the par Kohen Mashiach will apply by the par of Yom HaKippurim as well. What's an example of two things that are not the same and yet the maisim are the same? Elim par Yom HaKippurim v'sar Yom HaKippurim. The par of Yom HaKippurim and the sar of Yom HaKippurim are different animals, and yet they're both sprinkled where? In the KK, Kodesh Kadashim. Then I can ask, if you want to learn and say, well, I can learn that if you have two different animals from Yom Kippur, the sar and the par, yet their maisim are the same, they're both sprinkled inside, so then for sure when you have the par Kohen Gadol and the par Yom HaKippurim, for sure their maisim are going to be the same, or whatever applies to the par Kohen Gadol, I can learn to the par Yom HaKippurim. I can't make that kal v'chomer because the kal is not really kal. Because the fact that those two are the same is only because they have a chumrah to them that they're being sprinkled lifnai v'lifnim. But maybe in general, even when two species are the same, you won't say that the maisim have to be equal to each other. The only reason that the maisim there are equal to each other is because even though the animals are not the same, l'mais at the end of the day they're both lifnai v'lifnim. But you can't learn to anything else. Once the kal, that's another klal. Once the kal has a chamor, you can never make a kal v'chomer. Make a kal v'chomer, the kal always needs to be totally kal. It can't be partly kal and partly chamor. Says the Gemara, "Ela par helim davar shel tzibor seirei avodas kacham." So we can make the kal v'chomer from the par helim davar and the sar that's brought if the people as a whole worship avodah zarah. Ikal lemifrach, we can see that the halachas are the same. But you can also ask, Ikal lemikrach ma lahanach shekem mechapen al averos mitzvah yadua. Maybe there's a chumrah by those as well. You want to say, well, just like over there, it's a par and a sa'ir, and nevertheless, many of the avodas are the same. So then by the par Kohen Gadol and the par Yom Kippurim, which are the same animal, for sure the avodas will be the same. No, maybe that kal is not a kal, it's a chumrah. What's a chumrah there? That by the par helim davar shel tzibor and the sa'ir of avodas kochavim, you know what you're bringing them for. Par helim davar shel tzibor, you know whatever that sin that the people did, it's known. Once it's known, we bring a par helim davar shel tzibor. The sar of Yom HaKippurim, we know that the people worship avodah zarah. The par of the Kohen Gadol, we know what he did, but the par of Yom Kippur, we don't know. What's the par of Yom Kippur for? It's for all of the sins that were unknown. So therefore, you can't make any comparisons, another klal, you can't make any comparisons to the sar of Yom Kippur, the par of Yom Kippur, because that's for something, those are for sins that are unknown, so therefore, that will be a kal. Says the Gemara, "Ela par helim davar shel tzibor v'sar shel Yom HaKippurim." We have the case. You have the par helim davar shel tzibor and the sar of Yom Kippur. Now, it's kal, because again, the sar of Yom Kippur is not for a mitzvah that you do. We don't know what the mitzvah is, and yet we learn from one to another, even though it's different animals. V'hachi kamar, uma b'makom shelo hushvu korban lekorban dehai par v'hai sar hushvu masim lemasim lemai dekasa behu. We know that there is a comparison between the two of them, even though they're different animals. What are the comparisons between the two of them? Both are sprinkled 7 times, and both are sprinkled on each corner of the mizbeach hapnimi, and both are done with the forefinger of the Kohen, amongst other things. So therefore, you have a comparison between them, Kal Vachomer, to the power of Yom Kippurim and the power of Elim Davar Shel Tzibor. Whatever applies by the power of Elim Davar Shel Tzibor will apply to the power of Yom Kippur. And you don't have Ikal Mifrach, that it's Averos Mitzvahs Yadua, because the Sar Shel Yom Kippurim is not for a Mitzvah Yadua. And you also don't have the other Ikal Mifrach, because they're not all done, Lifnai v'Lifnim, the other two. The other two are not done Lifnai v'Lifnim. The Sar Yom Kippurim is, but the power of Davar Shel Tzibor is not done Lifnai v'Lifnim. So you don't have the two rejections, therefore you have the Kal Vachomer. Says the Gemara, Makom Shehushu Korban l'Korban, therefore now, where the Korbans are equal, the par of the Kohen Gadol and the par of Yom Kippurim, the high par v'high par, in case you were keeping track, they're both pars, v'ha eino din, Shehush v'masim l'masim. So for sure, the two of them will be the same, and whatever applies to the par of the Kohen Gadol, i.e. the sprinklings and the dam and the dipping and all that stuff, will apply to the par of Yom Kippur as well. V'asale para Yom Kippurim la'es b'damu tefila mi par Kohen Mashiach. This is where I showed you that it's clear on the top of the Gemara that you're learning it from the par Kohen Mashiach, not from the par of the Helim Davar. And therefore, through the Kal Vachomer, you can learn from the par Kohen Gadol to the par Kohen Mashiach to the par of Yom Kippurim. Va'asile sa'ir Yom Kippurim misa'ire avodas kochavim mikal Vachomer. And once we're doing this Kal Vachomer, just adding, you can also learn the sa'ir of Yom Kippurim from the sa'ir of the avodas kochavim. Whatever applies by the sa'ir of the avodas kochavim can apply by the sa'ir of Yom Kippurim. The problem is that the sa'ir of avodas kochavim is learned from the par of the Kohen Gadol through a Hekesh. So therefore, you end up that you're learning, in the last step we have, is that you're learning from the Sar of the Avodas Kochavim to the Sar of Yom Kippurim. How can you learn from something that was learned by a Hekesh from something else? It was learned from similar words by something else to something else. Says Gemara, V'chidara lami behekesh chozer melamed bekal v'chomer. The fact that the Sirei Avodas Kochavim needs Tvila and needs Bedam is only learned from a Hekesh from par Kohen Gadol. D'amar Rav Papa, Kisavar Tana Debei Rabbi Shmuel, Davar Alamed Mehekesh, Behekesh Chozer Melamed B'Kal V'Chomer. Something that's learned with a Hekesh can be used for Kal V'Chomer. It seems, again, if you're going to be keeping track, it seems like we don't necessarily paskin like that. And again, it's just another klal to keep in mind that in general, it seems like even though Tana Debei Rabbi Shmuel holds that, in general, something that's learned from a Hekesh from something else is a little bit of a lower level. Means, and again, it still has all the halachas, but it's got like one step removed, even though I would not have necessarily thought that, but it's one step removed, and therefore a davar halamed v'hakesh, seemingly across the board, even though over here there's an exception, seemingly across the board, most of the time it would seem like from this Gemara, davar halamed v'hakesh cannot be used for a kal vachomer. You can only make a kal vachomer for something that's mefurish in the Torah, then you can use it, it's strong enough to make a kal vachomer from it, but something that's learned itself from a hakesh would not necessarily be able to be used to make a kal vachomer for something else. Again, over here we do it because we're going with Tana Debei Rabbi Shmuel, but in general it sounds like we wouldn't necessarily.